There is a quiet yet unshakable truth that runs beneath the surface of all things, a voice not drowned by the noise of the world, a presence that does not waver with the shifting tides of circumstance. It calls not with demands, nor does it force its way into the heart. It simply invites. It is the message of trust, the assurance that, though the path may be uncertain, though storms may rise, there is one who never falters. Trust is not the absence of questions, nor is it the denial of doubt. It is the choice to believe when sight fails, to walk forward when the way is unclear, to rest in the knowledge that the one who holds all things does not lose his grip. The world urges reliance on what can be seen, on the tangible, on the measurable, but the deepest truths, the most profound realities, cannot be grasped by the senses alone. They are known in the quiet certainty that even in darkness the light has not vanished. To trust is to stand firm when all else shakes, to believe in promises not yet fulfilled, to rest in the faithfulness of a God who has never failed and never will. It is not a reckless leap into the unknown, but a confident step toward the one who has never abandoned those who trust in him. And though the road may twist and turn, though answers may not come as swiftly as one hopes, trust remains, the anchor that holds, the foundation that cannot be moved. Trust is not built in ease, nor is it proven when all is well. The measure of true trust is found in the moments when the ground beneath trembles, when the way ahead is unclear, when everything that once felt secure begins to shift like sand beneath the feet. It is here, in uncertainty, that trust is forged, not as a fleeting feeling, but as an unshakable foundation upon which one can stand. There is a temptation in times of uncertainty to grasp at control, to demand answers, to insist upon understanding before moving forward. The human heart, by its very nature, seeks assurance in what it can see, in what it can hold, in what it can predict. Yet, trust calls for something higher. It calls for a faith that rests not in circumstances, but in the character of the one who governs them. It is not built upon explanations or visible guarantees, but upon the unchanging nature of God himself. When the storms of life arise, when plans unravel, when what was once certain begins to slip away, there are two choices: to be consumed by fear or to stand firm in trust. The latter is not always easy, nor does it come without struggle. But it is in these very moments that trust becomes more than a word. It becomes the lifeline that sustains, the anchor that holds, the rock upon which one's faith is built. Consider the great figures of history, those who walked before us in faith. Their lives were not free from trials, nor were they given immediate answers to every question. Instead, they walked forward with trust, believing in what they could not yet see, holding fast to promises that had not yet been fulfilled. Their trust was not in their own strength, nor in their ability to control their circumstances, but in the one who had called them, in the one who had never failed them. And so it is with us. When uncertainty arises, when life does not unfold as expected, the question is not whether the road will be difficult. It often will be. The question is whether we will allow that difficulty to shake us or to strengthen us. Trust does not remove hardship, but it transforms our response to it. It allows us to stand firm when all else is shaking, not because we know the outcome, but because we know the one who holds it. To trust is to let go of the need for full understanding and to embrace the certainty of God's faithfulness. It is to believe that, even when the path is unclear, even when the answers are not immediate, even when fear whispers otherwise, He remains true. And that, above all else, is the foundation that cannot be moved. Fear is a relentless voice, ever whispering doubts, ever magnifying uncertainties, ever seeking to convince the heart that trust is foolish. It clings tightly, weaving itself into thoughts, planting seeds of hesitation, urging one to hold back rather than step forward. And yet, fear has no real power except the power one gives it. The moment trust takes root, fear loses its grip. The moment faith rises, fear is silenced. To trust is to let go, not in recklessness, not in blind abandonment, but in full assurance that the one who holds all things is worthy of complete reliance. Letting go does not mean ceasing to care, nor does it mean a passive acceptance of all things. Rather, it means releasing the illusion of control, surrendering the need to map out every detail, and placing the outcome into hands far greater than one's own. It is not resignation, it is the highest form of courage. There is no one who has trusted God fully and been disappointed. The road may have been long, the waiting may have been hard, the answers may not have come in the way expected, but not once has he failed. He has never abandoned those who place their trust in him, nor has he ever been careless with the lives entrusted to him. It is not in his nature to deceive, nor is it in his character to forsake. And if this is true, if he is indeed worthy of trust, then what is there to fear? Many cling to fear as though it is safer than trust. They would rather keep a tight grip on their own plans, their own solutions, their own ideas of what should be. They believe that to trust is to risk too much, that to surrender control is to step into uncertainty. Yet, the irony is this: fear offers no true safety, no true security. It merely imprisons, trapping the soul in endless worry, in sleepless nights, in constant striving to hold together what was never meant to be held by human hands. Trust, on the other hand, brings freedom. It releases the weight of worry, the burden of self-reliance, the constant need to predict every outcome. It allows the heart to rest in the knowledge that no detail is overlooked, no need is forgotten, no moment is unseen by the one who has already gone before. And though the way may be unknown, though the road may twist and turn in ways unexpected, it is not without purpose. It is not without plan. The step beyond fear is the step into peace. Not a peace dependent on circumstances, nor one that wavers with the winds of change, but a peace rooted in trust. It is the assurance that no matter what comes, no matter what unfolds, his plan is good, his purpose is sure, and his faithfulness is unshaken. The question is not whether he can be trusted. The question is whether we will dare to trust him fully. There is a weight to waiting, a heaviness that presses upon the soul when prayers seem unanswered, when doors remain closed, when silence stretches longer than the heart can bear. To wait is not merely to pass time, it is to wrestle with doubt, to battle impatience, to stand in the tension between promise and fulfillment. And yet, waiting is one of the greatest tests of trust. It is in these long and uncertain seasons that faith is proven, not in what is seen, but in what is yet to come. The world measures time in urgency, always rushing toward the next thing, always seeking immediate results. But God does not move according to human clocks. He is never late, though his timing often feels beyond understanding. He does not withhold answers out of indifference, nor does he delay out of cruelty. Rather, he works in a way that is far deeper, far wiser, and far more intentional than what we could ever comprehend. His delays are not denials, they are preparations. Consider how often, throughout history, those who were called to great things were first made to wait. The dreamer who was thrown into a pit did not become a ruler overnight. The shepherd, destined for a throne, spent years in obscurity before he was crowned. The barren woman who longed for a child was not forgotten. She was being prepared for a blessing that would be greater than she had imagined. The pattern is clear. Before the promise is fulfilled, there is a season of waiting, and it is in that waiting that character is refined, faith is deepened, and trust is tested. Waiting is not wasted time. It may feel like stillness, but it is a time of unseen movement, of hidden growth. A seed buried in the soil, does not sprout the moment it is planted. It is pressed beneath the earth, unseen, silent, but within it transformation is taking place. And when the time is right, it breaks through the surface, stronger and more vibrant than if it had been rushed. So it is with those who wait on God. They are not forgotten, they are being made ready. Yet, how often do we try to force the timing of things? How often do we grow weary, attempting to take matters into our own hands? It is in these moments that trust must rise, not in resignation, but in confidence that His ways are higher. He does not abandon those who trust in Him. He does not lead them to wait, only to disappoint them in the end. The waiting will not last forever. The fulfillment will come. And when it does, it will not merely meet expectations, it will exceed them. To wait with faith is to rest in the knowledge that even in silence, God is speaking. Even in delay, He is leading toward a purpose far greater than what can now be seen. The question is not whether He will come through, but whether we will trust Him enough to wait. There is a kind of trust that is easy, the kind that flourishes when all is clear, when the road is straight, when every step is illuminated. But then there is the trust that is tested, the trust that must walk forward when there is no clarity, when the way is hidden, when each step feels like stepping into the unknown. This is the trust that requires faith, the trust that does not depend on sight, but on the certainty of the one who leads. Human nature craves understanding. We long to see the full picture, to grasp the reason behind every twist and turn, to know in advance how things will unfold. And when answers are withheld, when the road takes an unexpected turn, the heart hesitates. It whispers doubts, it demands explanations, it wonders whether trust is still worth the risk. But faith is not about having all the answers. It is about believing, even when the answers are beyond reach. To walk by faith is to move forward, even when sight fails. It is to step forward, not because the way is clear, but because the one who calls is trustworthy. It is to believe that, even when things seem uncertain, even when nothing makes sense, even when every circumstance argues against it, God is still at work. His plan is still unfolding. His faithfulness is still unshaken. Consider a traveler lost in a thick fog. If he moves only when he can see miles ahead, he will never move at all. But if he takes one step, then another, guided by trust rather than sight, he will eventually find himself where he needs to be. So it is with faith. It does not demand that the entire journey be revealed at once. It simply asks for the courage to take the next step. Many hesitate because they fear making a wrong move, as if trusting God means having every detail mapped out perfectly. But trust does not require perfection, it requires obedience. Even when the path seems unclear, even when the journey is filled with uncertainty, God is not waiting for flawless navigation. He is simply calling for faith. And those who dare to walk by faith will find, in time, that what once seemed like blind steps were, in fact, leading them exactly where they were meant to go. This is not a call to reckless abandon. It is not a dismissal of wisdom or discernment. Rather, it is the understanding that God's ways are often beyond our comprehension, that He leads in ways that may not always make sense to us, but are always for our good. The choice is simple: to live only by what we can see, or to trust in what we cannot yet understand. One path leads to fear and hesitation, the other leads to freedom, to purpose, to a life shaped not by human limitations, but by divine direction. The question is not whether we can see the road ahead. The question is whether we will trust the one who does. Trust is not a single moment, but a lifelong journey. It is the quiet resolve to believe when answers are unseen, the courage to walk forward when the path is uncertain, the patience to wait when God's timing seems slow. Yet those who trust Him are never forsaken. He honors faith, He rewards surrender, and He proves time and time again that He is faithful. So hold fast, do not let fear dictate your steps or doubt steal your peace. The one who called you is trustworthy, and in the end you will see that your trust was never in vain.